I am Luke. I'm the talent lead for technology here at Cleo. My role is effectively to lead a team of talent partners to help the company scale across engineering and data and effectively allow us to achieve our mission as an organisation.
When people are working on shaping the people experience, it's so dependent on the context, like their company. So could you tell us a bit about Cleo?
Effectively, we are a chatbot company that builds an app to help people manage their money. So by using an AI-driven chatbot that plugs into your bank account, we allow people to start having a really quick-fire, candid conversation about their spending habits with a couple of additional features to help them start avoiding quite nasty fees and effectively achieving this mission of helping people live a life beyond their paycheck.
I saw you wrote a great post about your career progression framework and salary bandings that I thought would be great to get a bit more insight on. So if we start at the beginning, what is a career progression framework and salary bandings?
For those that haven't really seen a career progression framework before, and there's probably quite a lot of them out there, because I think that these frameworks are only now becoming a bit more commonplace and a bit more transparent. They're effectively a tool to help people understand both the expectations, I guess in terms of skills and behaviours and knowledge of the job that they are doing at each level, and that's very tangibly tied to compensation. Sorry. So effectively, it's a linear job description.
Why do you feel it's important that the career progression framework and the bandings are transparent and public for people to see?
There's definitely two answers to that one, and firstly, from an internal perspective, it really ties into a culture of development and performance that we really try and espouse here at Cleo. So by understanding a career progression framework for your job role, you can really start to get to the bottom of what's expected of you in your job, and actually then go beyond that to say, well, I want to get promoted one day, so what's the expectations at this higher level? And I know that I need to then develop this skill and that skill. I need to kind of pick up this entirely new skill, and I know that my salary will go up to this rough banding. So from an internal perspective, that level of transparency can really help people drive their own development. I think that's something that particularly in kind of the startup world is so important, to have that autonomous, self-led focus on your own development and progression. From an external perspective as well, it allows people to get to know what they're getting in for. I think I spoke about it in my blog. I joined a company once where their career progression framework wasn't transparent, and it was tied to a very arbitrary point around years of experience, and people had promotions blocked because they didn't have the years of experience. And in hindsight, if I'd have known that, I might not have joined that company. So I think by seeing it as an external candidate, you get a real glimpse into what it's like in a company in terms of how they value certain skills, certain behaviours and certain experiences, and that in itself, will give you a good indication as to what the culture's like and allow you to make a much more informed decision about whether you want to join that company.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of transparency, and I can see how it would make so many things easier, if not even in the short term of getting there for some companies. Once you've got there, it can unlock a lot. Could you share how it's helped you? Like, how's it works for you?
Me personally, and again, I guess I can talk a bit in terms of internal and external perspective here. So I joined the business as a lead talent partner. So as I said, effectively my job is a management role to lead a team, but with some IC responsibilities. I can come in and I'm 6 months into the business, and I know, okay, how well I'm performing against our framework. We do biannual performance reviews, and it's not a guessing game for me to say I think I'm a high performer, I'm in high growth, or whatever else I kind of opt for. I don't need to tie it just to a numeric, how many hires have I made, how much X, Y, Z have I done. I can actually look at this framework and have a really clear understanding of how I'm performing against the expectations, and as I said, then know exactly how I can step up to the next level as and when. Considering a lot of my job is focused on the recruitment efforts of Cleo, it makes my job an awful lot easier to be able to actually have a very open conversation with people about why they should be joining the business. And as you mentioned, the transparency piece from a pure employer brand perspective is fantastic, because people know Cleo as a company that values transparency, and this is one way in which we do it. But also when you do get to those conversations around offers, around levelling, you have some very objective, tangible feedback to present to candidates about why we've come in at a certain level or a certain salary based on the performance that we've seen. And that's tied to this public career progression framework that everyone can see and everyone's singing off that same hymn sheet. And so you definitely take out a lot of the, I think, the biases of hiring by being a bit more objective.
I'm bought in. If someone else is bought in and they want to develop their progression frameworks and bandings to a point that they could be publicly transparent, given your experience, what advice would you offer them?
So the first thing I'd advise them to do is kind of crowdsource that. I've had a lot of people reach out to me since I joined Cleo saying, I love your bandings, I love your framework, I'm building something like that and I've used that. I'm not here to kind of hoard information and best practice, and a lot of this was obviously done way before I joined the business anyway, but at the end of the day, a software engineer at Cleo, yes, it's going to have some nuances in terms of what we expect from them and what we over-index on, but a lot of the core fundamentals will be the same as a software engineer at another company. And again, the same across most job roles. So look at other companies that are doing it, use the information that's out there, use Cleo's framework if you are so inclined, and use that as a starting point. But going beyond that, this is something that requires an awful lot of partnering with the business. Someone in talent or people can start it off, but they can't be the one to drive the development of this, because a lot of the subject matter is quite nuanced, it's quite specialised, and you need to work with the hiring managers, the VPs, the directors of different departments to understand the expectations of a fairly niche job at different levels. So you do that, you crowdsource, and what I'd also say as an additional point, and I've kind of touched on it, I think early in this chat, is to make it linear. A staff level, principal level, senior level person will not be doing a fundamentally different job to a junior person. They will be doing, or they'll be demonstrating the same skills, the same behaviours, but to a much higher level and a much higher standard. And as such, it's often easier to start with the most junior job role and define what you'd expect from that. And then what you do is you add to it and you expect more as you get higher and higher and higher. And that in itself leads to a very logical progression framework, because people know how to advance rather than develop all these new skills overnight that they have no idea of how to get there.
This has been a brilliant overview. If people would like to follow more of your work at Cleo, is there a way that they can do that?
Yeah, of course. So follow the Cleo company page first and foremost, and I'm always happy to kind of connect with like-minded individuals. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to have a chat about what's worked here at Cleo and almost more importantly what's not worked here at Cleo. I think talent and people as a function, as a holistic function, has really evolved in the recent years, and that evolving is only kind of benefited from people having kind of very candid conversations about how everyone's doing it. So reach out, have a chat.